were an absolute disgrace, and they should be thoroughly ashamed of themselves.
Begging for help.
The government turns its back on some of the poorest in the world.
In fact, quite simply, the best bloke I ever knew. My grandmother, whom I love dearly, was lying on a hospital deathbed, and none of us were allowed to be there to comfort her in her final moments. I couldn't even carry her coffin on my shoulders. I also had to endure the agony of watching alone online the funeral of my uncle, my fun-loving uncle, and we were not there to comfort my brother-in-law's father, who had somehow contracted COVID in a Slough care home during his final moments. All this because we followed government guidance. Having experienced such painful personal sacrifices, like many others, imagine our collective disgust when, in order to curry favour with the Prime Minister's chief advisor, we see psychophantic, spineless, hypocritical government ministers lining up to defend the indefensible, saying it's time to move on, with some even having the gall to tell us that they too go for a long drive when they need to get their eyesight tested. What an absolute disgrace, and they should be thoroughly ashamed of themselves. So when is the Prime Minister finally going to apologise to the nation for not mustering up some courage and integrity, for doing the honourable thing and sacking his chief advisor, who so shamelessly flouted his own government guidance, so that he could have regained that lost public trust and confidence, and he could have demonstrated that it's not one rule for him and his elite chums and another for the rest of us plebs?
Where is that vision now, as the government turns its back on some of the poorest in the world? With GNI falling, our funding for aid was falling in any case. To reduce it from 0.7 to 0.5% is a double blow. This isn't about palaces for dictators and vanity projects. It's about what cuts to funding mean: that fewer girls will be educated, more girls and boys will become slaves, more children will go hungry, and more of the poorest people in the world will die. I have been in this House for nearly a quarter of a century. During that time, I have never voted against a three-line whip from my party. As Prime Minister, I suffered at the hands of rebels. I know what it is like to see party colleagues voting against their government. We made a promise to the poorest people in the world. The government has broken that promise. This motion means that promise may be broken for years to come. With deep regret, I will vote against the motion today.
Among some of his closest friends, he was known affectionately as the late Sir David Ames. Well, now he really is the late Sir David Ames, isn't he? But I am absolutely determined, and I ask for your support in this, that he will not have died in vain. He's now resting in the arms of the God he worshipped so devotedly his whole life. So farewell, David, my colleague, my great friend. In fact, quite simply, the best bloke I ever knew. I thank the House for its indulgence.
I'm sure every new MP experiences the same mixture of pride and responsibility that I'm feeling right now. But as the House does my family the great honour of paying tribute to my sister, I hope members will understand that I mean no disrespect to this place when I say that I would give literally anything not to be standing here today in her place. We have already heard what an extraordinary contribution Jo made to politics in the tragically short time that she sat on these benches. The love and respect she earned across this chamber is a testament to the very special qualities she brought to the job and the kind of person she was. Putting yourself forward for public office is a brave thing to do, wherever you sit in this place, and I appreciate that now more than ever. Since my election, the one thing that people keep saying to me is, Kim, please don't change, and I don't intend to. I will always stay true to my roots and identity. If I can be half the MP my sister was, then it will be a huge privilege to get on with the job of representing the wonderful people of Batley and Spen. Thank you.
It is the image of a man whose name I never knew, carrying a child who had died hours earlier, carrying this child into our firebase and begging for help. Now, there was nothing we could do. It was over. Because, Mr. Speaker, this is what defeat looks like. It's when you no longer have the choice of how to help. This doesn't need to be defeat, but at the moment, it damn well feels like it.
David.